Alright, so as you can see, this is what the sales screen looks like. You've got your tabs up here, which are your different menus. Okay. And then here, when you click on each of these, you get the categories that correspond to each one. As you can see, this is just a demo version, so there's not too much in here. But basically, you could ring something up like this hamburger, click modifiers, and then say, for example, no ketchup, extra mayo, something like that. Go to drinks, and as you can see here, this is a picture, so you can have pictures for your products, as well as having items that don't have pictures, like here. Here. Let's see, another function you got here is for certain things you can have it automatically prompt you for options called force modifiers. So let's take our steak dinner here. As you can see, it automatically prompts us. Maximum choice is 2 is down here. It says, so let's select fries and a salad. And let's see if we click 3, it says no. Okay, so get rid of that. 2 sides, click OK. And there's our steak dinner with the 2 sides. Didn't charge for them, even though over here, as you can see, you can. So it's got some nice functionality there. Let's look at the rest of this interface here. Everything that you see here, all these buttons, are customizable. There are numerous functions that are available to be put here, and they can be squeezed into other toolbars as well. For example, if we click on the Manager toolbar, certain manager functions pop up. There is also an Employee toolbar, which is not here, which can also contain other functions as well. When you put the order through, you can hit the Send Order key if you have a kitchen printer, and it'll print the order in your kitchen. Okay, and as you can see, when I did that, it goes into this window here, and it shows you that there's an order here that has not been paid yet. Okay, so I can go back at any time to that order and pay it later. So for example, that would be useful if it was a phone order or something like that. So you can suspend orders here and pay them later. And then we can also clear the order. Okay. This window can actually also be made to disappear completely if you don't want your employees seeing that. But it's kind of good to see what tickets you have open and what tickets are closed. Let's see what else here. So if you send the order, it suspends it for later, which is fine if you're a place that has a kitchen printer or is using, that kind of method where you're paying later. But if you just want to ring something up, you can very easily simply just go, ring up your hamburger, no mayo, get your fountain drink here, just hit finish, and then you can use one of these quick keys here to quickly cash it out, or you can hit credit card and pay via credit card. So, and if you just cash out, it automatically sends it to the kitchen printer anyway. So you don't have to use the Send Order key for that. If it's a phone order, you can do something like this. Ring up your hamburger here, and then we're going to hit this name tag key and put the person's name who's ordering it. So we're going to say John. As you can see now, this order is labeled with the name John. So let's hit the Send Order button. That way the kitchen gets that ticket. And now that order is suspended. It shows you there's an order pending here for John that has not been paid yet. When John comes in, you just click on his order, hit finish, and just pay it out. Okay, which we're just going to go ahead and clear the sale for now. Now, this software does have table service functions. There aren't any tables in here right now, but you can actually have several different table layouts, and it does have full table service functionality. However, based on what we've discovered with this software, we're not going to be using it for table service for the most part, simply because when it comes to splitting checks, this software is a little bit weak in that regard. The way this software splits checks is if you have an item, there's actually a key that you can add to one of the toolbars that lets you split the check. And what it does basically is it splits each item off into a separate transaction that shows up in your list over here. The problem with that is that if you've got lots of tables with multiple checks, you're going to have this huge list of open checks, which are very difficult to really discern one from the other. So just because of that confusion, we don't really recommend this too much for table service. If you've got some light table service, then it's probably fine. But generally, we recommend this more for quick service type environments. Okay. You also do have here, independent cashier control. Right now, the security settings are not enabled in this particular demo version, but you can make it so that a cashier is required to log in before you do anything, and every single function here you can set a specific permission for, so that only people who meet those permissions can do whatever needs to be done. So for example, I ring up a hamburger, I go here to item tools, and I could, for example, try to do a discount. Okay, in this case I'm going to go ahead and just say 10%. Okay, and as you can see, it gave a 10% discount. I can make it so that that's only available to be done by people with certain levels of security clearance. So everything here is very customizable. All these icons are customizable, as well as all the security features are also customizable as well. Let's go ahead and exit out of this and take a look at some of the other things that this has to offer. Alright, so we see back here on our main control panel, we've got a kitchen monitor and a bar monitor. If you want to have the software running on multiple screens, you can, and you can have a separate kitchen monitor here and a separate bar monitor, which basically just means that you could have a screen at your bar, a screen in your kitchen, and instead of using a kitchen printer, you could have it print to a monitor back there. It only lets you have one monitor, though. You can't chain monitors like some software lets you do, but in some situations this can be useful for that. You also do have a time clock over here, so you can do payroll with this. Employees can clock in and out, and they can be paid based on what they are working. So for example, when they clock in, they can clock in as a busser and get one pay rate, versus if they clocked in as a server, they would get a different pay rate. And the payroll report can be run for whatever types of time periods you want, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, whatever your payroll period might be. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back office here. Alright, one of the interesting things about this software, though, is that it actually is also very retail friendly, which we find to be a very good benefit. In addition to all those buttons that we saw where we were ringing up product, you can also scan barcodes with a barcode scanner, and it will track inventory on those items as well, which is a very nice feature there. Let's take a look at the product control here, just so you can get an idea of how we put items in here. For example, let's click on an existing item here, fountain drink. You got price here. You can actually identify 6 different price levels for this. So if you have special customers, you can actually have some customers that always get a discount if you have them in your system. There's also a rewards system here. You can assign a point value to every item that you sell, and then when they buy it, they earn those points on their customer account, and then when they reach a certain amount of points, the system will automatically offer them to basically get that item for free and redeem their points. Okay, so the system actually does track your sales on a customer-by-customer basis if you so desire, and you can actually use a loyalty program with that. Another good thing that the customer accounts does is you can actually, in certain circumstances, basically have open customer accounts, where, for example, let's say you were doing some catering or something like that, you could ring in everything for that customer ahead of time, so you had the order in your system, and you can charge that to their account to be paid later, and actually invoice the customer at a later date. Let's see here. You can also do things like have open price keys, where you press the key and it asks you for the price. You can even take food stamps. You can read weight scales. There's a lot of retail functionality in here as well, mixed in with the restaurant functionality. This is more retail type stuff here. Order points for things that you're tracking inventory on. Modifiers, add-ons. This is where you can configure, where we saw before with that steak dinner, where you automatically clicked on it and it asked you, which add-ons you want to select automatically. So you've got some very good functionality here. You can it's actually kind of a neat little thing here. Whatever you type in here as your description, you can hit web search, and it'll open up a Google search for an image of whatever you clicked here. You can click on that image, save it to the right folder, and then boom, you've got your image right here for what you're trying to sell. So that's a nice feature there as well. Let's see what else we got here that's interesting. You can import and export your products, which is good. If you have a lot of inventory, you can actually import that in from an Excel spreadsheet, which is also very useful if you have a lot of products, or if you just want to get your stuff going ahead of time before you even get your system. Let's see, you've got a stock transferring tool here where you can scan things into the system to get your stock in. And let's see, you've got the customer accounts over here, billing. Let's see, you got a bunch of different tools over here. One interesting thing here is you can also arrange all of these products in any order you want. So even though the system automatically puts things in a specific order, you can change that order and basically customize however you want your menu to look, which is nice as well. I've got a sales monitor here, which you can click on at any time to show you what the sales are for the day. Let's see what else here. Range function button. This is what I was mentioning before. You've got all these different functions that you can put in your toolbars, and they're all completely customizable. Also a nice function here. And actually, let's go back there. Let's look at the reports. Okay, here you've got a lot of different reports. Here you've got sales reports, sales for today, this week, this month, this quarter, sales detail reports, which also when you run, you can do it for any range of dates or specify today, yesterday. You can run reports by cashier, by waiter, customer reports, supplier reports, category reports, more product reports, different kinds of inventory reports, and then other store reports. Basically, you got a lot of different reports here. You got your Z-out reports, a lot of different stuff here. Another nice little function it has here, as well as it does have an email function where anytime you run a report, you can actually have the system automatically email you that report to a specific address. So that's pretty useful as well. Let's see if there's anything else here that we want to look at for the purposes of this demo. You can also print barcodes. That's an interesting feature as well. Something most restaurants don't necessarily need, but nice to know that you have that should you need it. You can also have numerous different payment methods here, including your integrated processors, which are Mercury or Charge It Pro. In addition, you can also, of course, use any processor you want. As long as you got a credit card machine on the side, the system works just fine with those credit card machines on the side, or you can go with one of the integrated processors, which of course we do recommend because for the most part they'll meet whatever rates you currently are getting, and it's always easier to swipe it through your system than on that separate terminal. But I hope that overview gave you a good feel for how the software works. If you have questions, just feel free to send us an email to support@